This is what I use for event photo coverage. This is what's inside. So as you saw, I like to travel with away luggages because it has a spinner wheels and it has a lifetime guarantee. I'm not sponsored, but Away, more than happy to be your ambassador. But I've been using Away luggages ever since my Twitter days because it is so much easier to travel when you have good spinning wheels. And I happened to just buy Away and ended up settling with that. So for me, I package everything in my cases, and video is completely different because there are definitely a lot more things that I pack. But for photo, it is basically simple. Of course, I'm going to have my cameras. For the latest shoot that I did for Google, I brought 2 cameras, and you definitely should have 2. When I was doing weddings, ideally you have 2 of the same camera body, but in this instance, I was using the Leica SL and then the Leica Q. The Leica Q is a fixed lens, so this one here has a 28mm. There is a feature there that you can have in-body crop. It's not the same in terms of field of view, but for the SL, I have, what do I bring here? I have 3 lenses. So I have the 20mm, the 45, that's kind of like the standard that I keep them in the body, a 90, and then the Sigma 70 to 200 2.8. Because I was doing stage coverage, so speakers on stage, I definitely needed a longer telephoto lens, and so that's where the 70 to 200 lens comes in. But just to recap here in terms of, now that we have that out of the way, of course, have your memory cards, get the best that you can get in terms of, highly reviewed and a reputable company like Sony or SanDisk or Lexar. Definitely have plenty of batteries to change from. Leica batteries are not that cheap, but I was able to get an additional one just in case. I actually only went through 2 batteries for an 8-hour day. But I have it for the SL, and then I also have the batteries for the Leica Q. Again, what's nice if you have the same camera body is you just have to worry about one, camera, or rather one battery-specific model in order to replace. The things that I call as a just-in-case, emergency kit. So just have a couple of bandages. What else do I have in there? That's pretty much it for the emergency kit. Then I have like a freshen up kit, which includes gum. I also have lotion, and then I even pack, cologne. So that way after, midday, I freshen up in the bathroom, go ahead and use this. So that way I can feel, and smell good throughout my entire day. The energy pack or energy kit that I use is... Been liking these Robert Irvine's Fit Crunch bars. Definitely, they taste kind of like candy, which is kind of a good thing, because sometimes you may not have enough time to eat. Technically, you should, but get a good break, of course, during your lunch hour, which is, I would say, roughly 25-30. Usually, your client should be able to comp you for your meals, but that is something that you should clarify in the very beginning. Usually you would have a stipend. And so that's something that you definitely should talk about. All right. That way you don't go over budget and think like, oh, my meal is free, and you grab something that's like super expensive or whatever. Another thing that I use actually for snowboarding are these Honey Stinger energy chews. These also are really great. And the thing that I definitely use the most in terms of my kit is, a battery pack that has the built-in cables. But I also have a larger battery bank from Anker. Extra batteries, as I mentioned, because I also brought a flash, even though I didn't use. And then I also have some cables in order to charge. One thing that I like to do is, for the client, especially, if and when they don't bring their own battery bank, I'll ask them like, hey, you've been using your phone all day. Do you need a quick charge? Just being helpful, even though it has nothing to do, with your photos or video. So that's something that you should keep in mind as far as just being helpful overall. Gum, what I forgot to mention is Orbit gum by far is the juiciest and best gum. So if you were to add one thing from your kit, get the Orbit gum peppermint. Really good. And in terms of my overall kit, the thing that I use when I'm shooting, I don't like straps because my shoulders kind of get tired really easily. So for me, I use the ThinkTank system. So these are basically bags that you can go ahead and attach to a belt. And while ThinkTank does have a belt system, which I also use, it's this one right here. What I actually like, and I kind of mix this with a different system called SpiderPro. And I like the fact that you could basically put this around your belt. There's a little pin that you would attach to the bottom of your camera. Then you would slide it in. And that way you can walk along, a quick draw. It's kind of like a gunsling, and you would take it out. There is a lock, so you can switch it like that. So that way it won't fall out. And then you would flip it up and take it out. So for me, I usually will be packing depending on the coverage. Like the first day had speakers, so of course I have the 7200 on this large bag that here I had in my pocket. So if I needed to switch, I'll go ahead and take out the lens for my camera body, and then replace it, with a new lens. Pop the other lens that I have back into the bag. So that's how I would shoot with the right as my main camera, and then on the left, I have the Leica Q. And the way that I would do it is if I'm shooting with, the SL, the main camera body, and I want to switch to the wide, I would go ahead and photograph from here. I would then cradle it, and then I would use my free hand to take this thing out and then go ahead and continue shooting. Boom, boom, boom. And then I would put this underneath and put it back on my sling. And that way I'm able to shoot ineffectively with one hand. So I just cradle it like that and go here. Of course, I could take the time to put the camera first on my right side, then take it out. But again, your style will vary in terms of how you shoot with two cameras. So that's pretty much it. And again, in the Gaff tape, as I had mentioned, it's also part of the kit. It's always easier to bring your own stuff. So if you had to label something, if you're giving a memory card to the client, you can label it, put your name on it, put the date or anything like that. And even for your water bottle, like, I was part of, in the back, I put my name on it just in case if people, didn't know who the bottle belongs to. But that's going to be useful because you can label something. It's easy to see, as you can see right here, that I have my lens caps, labeled. And I would say the last thing that I probably didn't mention, business cards. So super old case that I have, and I have my business cards. I didn't get to use them for this one, but again, it is useful just to have in at least a couple cards in your bag somewhere, or at least on you while you're doing your coverage. So that way, if someone were to ask, you can definitely hand over a card. Grab their information is probably what I would do, or put on your phone. But again, making it really easy to give your information. That way, you don't have to email them or something like that. So that is it in my kit. And once again, if you want to see everything that I do in the form of a checklist before, during, and after an event coverage, do check it out, and you can download it for free. Yo, what is up? My name is JJ. I am a San Francisco-based photographer and cinematographer. In this video, I'm going through my entire kit as an event photographer. Now, it's not something that I do 100%, but it's something that I can definitely do. And I wanted to go ahead and share basically what's in my kit, but more importantly, what I do before, during, and after an event coverage shoot to make sure that it is successful. So one of the things, of course, is when you're hired as an event photographer, you really have to make sure that you're capturing the event in its entirety. Duh. But there are certain things that I guess people are not used to, especially if they don't have experience, that I wanted to create something in the form of a checklist to ensure that you get everything, so that way you don't miss anything. So that is included in the checklist. Do check it out. It's for free. And again, it's just a one-pager, and I went ahead and just wrote down everything that goes into my head when it comes to covering an event.